So how to create a project. So one of the first things that we're going to do. So over here, share your work, create a project. And what we need is obviously images and things like that, but we're going to start by basically creating like a title. We're going to do a couple of different things. So let's take a look. So first things first, text. So I'm going to add that, and for here I'm going to add the title of my project. And for this you can do pretty much whatever you want. Documentary series, and so this is called Expired um, Places. That's what I want to call that. And I'm going to give this a header. So I'm going to make it my header. I'm going to make it large because that's the title of my document. Really, really important. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click over here and I can edit my text, I can delete, or I can reorder. So that's stuff that you can do by clicking here, and you can also justify or move around the box that is essentially, and I'm going to center this for the time being. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an image. I'm going to add a large image to my main part of my project, and let's add this one. I'm going to hit upload. So I like a little bit of white space, so I'm going to use this to make the image a little bit smaller. I like that. You can add tags. That helps it to be a little bit more searchable, which is kind of nice. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my text below. So my text, I'm going to come over here and add text. And for this, I'm just going to add some lorem ipsum for the time being, because I haven't really written anything. But you are going to have to write something. So lorem ipsum generator. And I'm going to generate some content just to give you some filler information. So here we go. You know you have a minimum word count for this and everything else like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop that into here, my type tool, and I'm going to paste. So there we go. And this will be kind of like, because we're doing a documentary series, we're going to talk about kind of what's going on. So this will be kind of like the why. Now, what I really want to have you guys do is when you're doing like a documentary series or any sort of photo essay or something like that, you really got to make it relatively easy for the people to understand what's going on. So for the documentary series, I really kind of broke down it into 3 different categories that you have to sort of explain using text. So what is the work about? Why you decided to photograph the series, and then the last thing is what you learned. So I'm going to be as blunt as putting these in as subtitles. So I'm just literally, I copied and pasted that from the project itself, and I'm going to highlight this and make this a subheader. Now the subheader is not that bold, so I'm gonna bold it up a little bit, and it's a little bit bigger. I like that, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to then come over here and make this a bit of a smaller font. There we go. So that's too small. I'm going to make that 15-point fonts. There we go. So when people are reading this, they'll see the title, which is nice. They'll see a first sort of nice image to start with. They'll see what the work's about. So why are you doing it? And then what we can add then is we can add like a photo grid or another image or something like that. I'm going to add a photo grid just to kind of show you what a photo grid does. So I'm going to go images, and I'm going to add a couple more images. I'm going to add 3 or 2 images here. I'm going to upload. I will move that in a little bit. And of course I can tag the images, but I'm not going to bother right now. I'm going to add some more text, and I'm just going to copy this, of course, because you guys are going to have to write this. I am not, and you guys can just get the general gist of what I'm kind of looking for. The next little blurb that I want to have you guys write about is like why you decided to photograph what you did. So simply as that. It's a subheader still, so we have nice consistency. And remember, it doesn't have to be that long, so even if it's like that long, that's fine. So once again, we have a nice flow. We have documentary series, what it is, it's in expired places. We have a first image, what the work is about. We have 2 images right over here. We have another text content area. And then I'm going to add my last photo grid. So you have to upload a minimum of images. I think it's like 3 or 4, but if you wanted to add more, you could do that as well too. I'm going to add these 2. So you don't have to add this many. I'm just showing you different ways that you can lay things out. And then of course, for my last little blurb, I'm going to write essentially what I learned. So there we go. I'm going to give that a bit of a space. There we go. So what I learned. That's a nice, easy project which has that. Goes through to here. I'm going to make all the font the same color. So I'm going to come into here and I'm going to make the font all black. Same thing with this too. There's different ways that you can style all this stuff. There we go. So that looks pretty good. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to the settings and I'm going to adjust some of the stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this, get the project a title. Documentary series expired some tags, up to 10 keywords to help people discover your project. Expired places, abundance. Let's call this photography, photos, Algonquin College. There we go. Tools used, software. I used Photoshop. I also used Lightroom. And that's about it for that. I would describe this as photography. It's visible to everyone. This does not have any adult content, and it's not a co-owner, so that looks all good. So I'm going to hit publish. And if you don't have an image here, if you want to change it, you can just edit the cover image and then change that up. So I'm going to hit publish. And then it'll give you a link if you want to promote your series. That's all good. I'm going to go back over here to my profile. And there's the project that I just created. So I'm going to go down over to my groups. This is the group that I'm going to be posting it to. So your team, sorry, will right over here. And then in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to projects, and I'm going to select this one right over here, and I'm going to hit save. I have two selected for some reason. Maybe it's just my last one, my couples. Oh, that's already been added to the team. And I'm going to hit save. There we go. So now I have this one added. And if I click onto it, I can see it in the team. And when it comes to like writing about your content, really just write what you know, and write what the work's about, why you decided to photograph this series, and what you learned. So like that's really what I want you to sort of get from that. And what you learn can be something that you learned about photography, something you learned about the person, place, or thing that you photographed, why you decided to photograph the series, like why'd you do it? If you're just kind of like, I was bored, that's not really engaging. And then what the work is about. So what is the work about? Well, I like to photograph abandoned spaces. I like street art and graffiti and things like that. You could write something about that if that's what you're going to do. That's ultimately what I want you to do for your project, and that's how to add it to the Behance team.